Santander did everything they possibly could to protect me and my money. The woman that was impersonating me gave over the passport. The bank teller was supposed to get up and scan the passport, but she didn't. She signed it off. So they said it's an internal job. Yesterday, I was robbed of £14,000. Yeah, £14,000. The £14,000 that I was robbed of, the people that robbed me also took a loan out in my name of £21,500 and another loan for £12,500. Thieves were amazing, the con artists were amazing. Two main issues with me is the con went on for so many hours that my fatigue started to kick in and I was losing the ability to challenge what they were asking me to do. And my biggest strength, which is also my biggest weakness, which anyone that actually knows me will go, yeah, I wanted to help. And that's how they got me. Called me from the bank, which I didn't know was possible. So they rang me from my bank and they had details of my account and they said that a transfer I'd just done, which was to the widow of one of the drivers that works for me that died, they had the details and they told me they stopped the payment. So I got really stressed about it because I told her I transferred that money because I want to help her. So I went through security. At no point did they ask for any of my details, but they had my information. They could tell me what transfer I'd made. And so we did that security check, not a problem. And then they went, and you've also transferred £15,000 to Mohammed. And I'm like, no. And they're like, yeah, you came into the Hanley Bank and did the transfer, used your passport, driver's license. And I'm like, no, I haven't been Hanley in years. I'm really sick. I can't, I don't do that. Let us check CCTV. And they said, look, no disrespect, you're 44. She's in her early 20s. And I don't know how to say this. And I went, she's not white. And they were like, no. Then they explained to me about the training the staff go through about the checks that they do. And they said that when the woman that was impersonating me gave over the passport, the bank teller was supposed to get up and scan the passport, but she didn't. She signed it off. So they said it's an internal job. It's someone internal is involved. So I was like, okay. So I was like, so it's fraud? And they were like, no, this is much more serious than fraud. It's identity theft. Because he was like, you sure you've got your passport? And I was like, I'm holding it in my hand. And he was like, right, I'm sure this isn't you. And I went, it's really simple. I use a Zimmer frame. Is she using a Zimmer frame? No, it's not me. So then it escalated. And they said they need to do a sting operation. And I've done sting operations in my day job when there's been theft. So I understand how a sting operation works. And everything they said about the sting operation was the exact procedure you have to follow. They knew everything. They explained everything. And because I've done it before, multiple times, it matched everything I knew. So they asked me if I would be willing to be part of the sting operation so that they could get the individual involved in the bank, but more importantly, to get the big guns. So not the people that went into the bank, not the bank teller, to trace the money. So that to do the sting operation, we had to set up a like-for-like transfer so that it went through the appropriate security categories to get checked. And then the cashier that was involved would do the security checks. And if that cashier did not mention to me the Mohammed transfer, do not mention it. If they do, clarify, no, it's not authorised, and go through the normal process. If they don't mention it, it's evidence that they're guilty. So I went through the whole process and I debated with them for hours, because I was like, prove to me you're Santander. Because I was like, you're asking me to set up a transfer with the details you're giving me, and you want me to lie to the bank to transfer the money. And he's like, we've frozen your bank, nothing will go out. So I was like, well, I'm on my online banking now, and the transfer I did to the widow is showing as gone. Yeah, it does, because it shows on your system as gone, but we're security, so we can see how, obviously we've put it through now. So I was like, right, okay. So I was like, prove to me you're Santander. Prove to me. So they were like, we can't send you a text via normal Santander, because then the colleagues can see it, which means they won't do the transfer, which means we can't trace it. So I was like, okay. So I Googled the number they were calling me off. I Googled security at Santander, and they said that's what's on the Google is the incoming number. They're ringing me from the outgoing number, and as I can see, it's an 0800 number, not just a random mobile. So I was like, okay. And he was like, and I've got all your details in front of me. I've gone through security with you and clarified your transfers. I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't Santander. Okay, good point. So I was like, but you're still asking me to transfer £14,000 to a dummy account. And he's like, yeah, but I've already told you your bank account's frozen, so the money won't go. It's purely to check the cashier, and then we need to check the account that she tries to transfer the money to. So I was like, right. I said, but you still can't prove to me you're Santander. So by now I had his name. So I searched on Facebook for him, and I was like, I can't find you on Facebook. And he's like, look, no offence, but I'm married. He's like, I'm in my 50s. And I was like, I'm not trying to flirt with you. I'm trying to find who you are and prove you work for Santander. Like, I'm in 50s, I don't do social media. I was like, well, you're not in LinkedIn either. No, I don't do social media. So I was like, right. He's like, with my industry and working in security, I don't do social media. So I was like, okay. So I was like, but you still can't prove to me you're Santander. He's like, I'll send you a text. He sent me a text from a mobile. And I'm like, anyone can text me from a mobile. He's like, it's randomly generated mobile. So I'm like, that doesn't help. You could be the person trying to scam me and give me this story. I said, what am I supposed to say to people? Some random guy rang up, told me where to transfer £14,000, and I did. I said, I'll sound like a complete dick. Prove to me you're from Santander. So then he said, right, I've got to get my manager. I'll get him to send you an alert from us at Santander. So, okay. So he said, make sure you take a photo of it, so you've got it for your records. So I was like, right. So I got this alert come through that I've never had an alert come through on my phone from Santander. So I was like, okay. He sent me 2 alerts, but I didn't take the photos of them. But I was like, but it's typed text. So I Googled how you do an alert. Now, anyone that knows me knows I'm shit at technology. So when I Googled it, it was like, anyone can send an alert. And I was like, just because I don't know how to do it. He's like, but you've never received an alert, because you have to be authorised to do them. It has to go through the FD, whatever it is, or the banking things. So I was like, right. So I was like, okay, I don't really get it. And I was like, according to Google, anyone can send an alert. And he was like, yeah, but according to Google, if you've got an illness, you're going to die. So, Google's not the be all and end all. And I was like, no, I understand that. But you still haven't been able to prove to me that you're from Santander. Like, send me an email. No, we can't send you an email. Because, again, it would be on the system. And if we do that, we won't be able to do the sting operation. So I was like, right. So we went round, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with transferring. Look, we have to do this. We've got to act quickly. This could be happening to other customers. We can't just leave it. And I was like, look, I want to help you. And I don't want it to happen to other customers. And I really appreciate the fact that you've stopped it from happening to me, but I'm not comfortable with transferring this. So the whole sting operation was me do this transfer to this number, and then he gave me a reference number and everything. And then I was to go on hold, and then the call would go through to the cashier that had signed off the authorisation for me. so that if she didn't mention Mohammed, they'd got her. If she did mention it, it was, you know, odds were she weren't going to mention it. And they were like, you know, they sort of prepped me, and I was like, I know how to do a sting operation, you know. So I still wouldn't do it, and then it got escalated to his manager. And I know, and I said to him a few times that I know I'm making you grumpy because I'm challenging you, but you can't prove to me who you are. He escalated it to his manager, and then the manager played it amazingly, because he played it that he was in trouble because he'd obviously confused me somehow, that I didn't understand what was happening. So I ended up going, no, he didn't confuse me, I understand everything. What I'm saying is you cannot prove to me that you are Santander. So if you can't prove to me you're Santander. And he was like, look, this is my name, gave me his name. He was like, you can check me on LinkedIn. I went onto LinkedIn, I checked him. And he was like, are you or are you not going to help us catch this person? Again, my biggest strength, I think, is wanting to help people and do good. But fuck me, is it a weakness at times when people take the piss, and clearly at times like this. So I said I want to help, so I went through with it. So, and what made me feel better when I was going through it is they called me, they were asking me questions, they were going through everything. The person at the bank wanted to call me back. So I was like, okay, that's not right. And then she was saying to me about a different mobile number. Someone's put a different mobile number on my account. And I'm like, no. Throughout this experience, we kept losing signal, which I've experienced in my day job. So it just doesn't bother me. You just carry on the conversation, you call each other back. So I've since found out that if someone calls you back and they keep losing signal, that's a warning sign. I didn't know that. You got bank accounts elsewhere? Yeah. So I was going through the bank accounts elsewhere, and he was like, you've taken out a loan for 12.5 grand. And I'm like, no. And he was like, yeah. He's like, you need to, like, he said, I'm on with them now. Apply for another loan, it'll cancel out that loan. And I'm like, right. And he said, you can see they've pre-filled it in with your details. And then I was like, right, so do I need to contact what do I need to do with the loans? How do I stop that from happening? And we got cut off, and he didn't call me back. So by then it was late afternoon, and I was a wreck. And they also did right, because of your health, do you want to go to the police station to do a statement, or would you prefer if they came to your house? And I was like, I need them to come to my house. So I was thinking, are the police going to turn up? Like, I don't know how this works. So I thought, you know, wait until Monday and see, to keep your mouth shut, because it's a sting operation. All of this came about, apparently, because I got a message from Royal Mail that said I've got an order, a delivery, and it's £2.99 short on post and packaging to pay that £2.99. Now, I've had to do that twice before, where people have sent me things and there's not been enough post and packaging, and I've had to pay it. So, and I've just ordered a load of books for my YouTube and stuff, so I paid it. That was it. That was the starting point. All I need to do is cross-check the reference number. If the reference number exists, I'm good. If it doesn't exist, I've been robbed. So I spoke to a lovely lady and said, I might have been robbed, but I would like to check a reference number with you. Okay, so we went through security. She's making me paranoid going through security now. And she said, that doesn't sound like one of our reference numbers. Let me check. And I went, can you tell me if my account's on hold? She was like, yeah, no. And I'm like, I've been robbed. She's like, tell me what happened. I told her what happened, and she's like, you've been robbed. They did say to me at one point when I was debating that they might be the scam, they were like, even if we were the scam, you're insured anyway. All banks insure people up to 85k. Santander have been fucking amazing. A lot of time with Action Fraud, over 2 hours on the phone with them, who are the government fraud team that link with the police and all that sort of stuff. What I didn't realise that was really relevant to the case was that I missed my meds. Just had a phone call from Santander. Again, fucking hell, they've been amazing. They've been amazing. But what they've done, so what Lydia did was she went through with me a couple of times. What the scam artist did was actually went through how to not fall for fraud. And then what Leon's done is gone through it again. So if the bank rings me up and they want to talk to me about money, I'm going to call them back. And he went, not just bank, HMRC, any company, you call them back. So I'm like, right, I've just been on the phone to the Santander, the investigating officer. His name's Leon, and he's lovely. And I'm upset. It's not Santander's fault at all. Like, he was absolutely fantastic. But we just did like over an hour going through all the details. So he'd read everything, he'd listened to the phone calls. Like, they put a lot of effort into these investigations. Like, he'd listened to the phone calls, he'd really gone through everything. His timeline was crystal clear. Santander did everything they possibly could to protect me and my money, and I lied. It's not their fault. It's not Santander's fault. But I feel like I'm worried that, you know, if I say the wrong thing, does that mean that I won't get my money back? So, because it's not the bank's fault. It's not, you know. And I'll understand if I don't get the money back. And I thought in my head, I was prepped that I'm not going to get the money. I'm not going to get it. And I feel quite calm about that because it's not the bank's fault. But in talking to him, I just realised how much I'm hoping that I fucking get my money back.